my special guest, my brother for today. Y'all big him up. Drop them comments. Make him feel welcome. Let's welcome to the Suzette Speaks show none other than Links. Woo, woo,
Hey,
woo, woo.
Wagwan later.
Wagwan, brother. How
I'm
are
there, I'm
you?
there, I'm there.
I'm so excited. Can you tell this topic? Well, I was waiting for this one, Links. So I'm excited that you're here. How you
Okay.
feel?
Nervous.
Oh
I'm still
no,
nervous. Still nervous.
you
Yes.
you are
Yeah. Yeah,
Links.
because I mean I'm opening myself up to people. I'm sharing a very personal story. And as we talked, I'm gonna share the whole thing.
Everything.
I'm not gonna share just the highlights. So they're gonna get the highs, the lows, and the highs again.
Well, I'm
So
so grateful for that.
yeah.
Like I said, for those of us who are single watching, I'm sure it will help. For those of us who are married watching, I'm sure it will help. And there's something unique about a man's perspective. So without further ado, first, before we get to the story, please just introduce yourself to the people. Tell us where you're from, how you grew up, all that good stuff. Welcome. Welcome to my brother.
Uh, I go affectionately by the name of Lynx. As Chicago mentioned, I was a former DJ. That's how Chicago and I connected years and years ago in Atlanta. Was a gospel reggae DJ and did that. But my background is I'm born. My family's from Jamaica. Mom is from Portland, the country, a small town called Fruitfulville, Jamaica, in the hills. My dad is from Kingston, and I'm born in New York. And here my story is a little bit crazy because I was born in New York, and then at age 1, we moved to Toronto, Canada. And I grew up in Toronto for about 12 or so years and then moved back to New York. So my background is a little bit strange, kind of interesting, the natural migration patterns. And Suzette, of Jamaicans is, either you're in Florida, you're in New York, Canada, or England. Those are the main spots that we end up. So I grew up crazy. I'm a black kid in Toronto, Canada, growing up playing ice hockey. Yeah, I was a big ice hockey kid
Wow.
growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just soul on ice. It didn't look right, but I was nice with it. And then moved back to New York, and that's where I got my, I guess, culture. I say on my IG, what, New York or Toronto raised, New York bred, Jamaica's my roots. So that's my story. It's just interesting as we were talking this morning. We were talking about our families, and I was asking your family surnames and stuff like that. And just
Yeah, we trying to figure out we was cousins, y'all. It was
yeah,
like, so where
exactly.
you from?
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
from?
And
Which
I
I
have a crazy,
love.
I have a crazy story about that. I'll jump into that. I was down there in I was down there some years ago in Bal Harbor
Mm-hmm.
at the for work at the St. Regis there in
Mm-hmm.
Bal Harbor, and I had a young lady that at that hotel. It was brand new at the time, and they assign you butlers to take you to your room. And this young lady was taking me to my room, and we were talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening to her. And I said, okay, you sound like I know you're from Jamaica. You sound like you're from country. She said, yes. And then I asked her, what's your family surname? She said, Dawkins. I said, oh my God, you're my cousin.
No.
Yes. As I said, my life is crazy. So we linked on Facebook, and as soon as I linked, yeah, I'm saying, oh yeah, there's my cousin Renee, there's my cousin
Wow.
this. So yeah, that's happened to me 2 times. I was in Jamaica some years ago with my wife, and I ended up meeting another cousin at the resort
That
in
is
Jamaica.
so
So,
not unusual though. Isn't that
yeah,
crazy? That
yeah,
has happened to me. I went on a date with a guy that I realized we had
yeah,
the same was it great grandfather? I was like, what the heck is going on? But it makes sense
yeah,
because we, like as you described, we follow the same migration
yeah,
patterns. So we would end up together in South Florida. And then I realized
yeah.
he had lived with like a cousin I actually knew. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
bruh, this is wild. Like our
Wow.
grandparents and great grandparents would be laughing, but was
Yeah.
my cousin. Like it was really crazy. But anyway, go ahead. But not
Yeah.
everybody from Jamaica is related, y'all. But we just
Yeah.
happen, if you're from the same
Yeah.
parish, you
Right.
might be. So you
Yeah.
got to check that first.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
ahead. So that's
Totally.
kind of a cool upbringing. So you have a little bit of island, you have a little bit of Canada. How long did you spend
Yeah.
in Canada?
I was about maybe 12, 13 years
Oh
in
wow.
Canada. So
That's cool. And then a lot of
um
people don't realize there's a strong Black diaspora in
oh
Canada
gosh,
as
yeah.
well, Caribbean based and otherwise. Like there's
Big,
a lot
big,
of
big,
Black
yeah.
folks in Canada, which I love. Shout
Definitely.
out to Drake. So,
Yeah. It was Canada. Canada um was a very, very interesting time growing up because the block I grew up on, I affectionately now I say I grew up on my block in Canada was literally the United Nations. Um, so we had families from India and Korea and Bahamas and Ireland and you name every ethnicity. That's what I grew up in Toronto with. So it was a great upbringing, but at the same time it crippled me in the sense of I didn't, and this is going to sound crazy, I didn't understand racism or anything like that. I didn't. There wasn't as far as my ethnicity. I knew I was Jamaican. The accepting of cultures, different cultures there in Canada, Toronto, especially it's celebrated. You have in Toronto, you have the biggest carnival out in North America outside of the Brazilian carnival, Caravana, and that's celebrated by everybody there in Canada. So the West Indian culture is greatly celebrated. You have every ethnicity. So I didn't understand that growing up. My first, it's gonna sound crazy. My first stint or taste of understanding racism. I was in Atlanta as a kid. This was years. My pops was looking to move to Atlanta in the '80s, and I experienced something there. But other than that, it was probably the best upbringing because it taught me to um, understand different cultures and be able to move in different circles and be myself. So I'm very thankful and appreciative of that upbringing. There,
can I
and
jump in a
then
little bit? I can relate to you 100% because I
yeah,
think a lot of people, when you come from that kind of background where you're emigrating, you're moving, you're in a different whole, society, different sound, different speed,
yeah,
different foods, multiculturalism. I think
mhm,
it's a blessing because I realize not everybody gets to grow up around that. A lot of people, when they grow up, it's not a bad thing, but it's like a uniform culture,
yeah,
or maybe just black and white and one
mhm,
ethnic black
yeah,
only or one ethnic type of white only. So I
hmm
think you're like me growing up in South Florida, which was much more before a melting pot, now more like a lumpy stew where people kind of uh,
mm,
cling together.
okay,
But the beauty is, like yourself, I feel like I can be very much adaptive, almost like a chameleon when it comes to people
hmm
from different places because we
hmm
had to be. And I shared with you, like, even going to school, I had several different accents, if you will, and people would,
yes,
maybe if they don't experience this type of multiculturalism
yeah,
in growing up, they might be like, what, you had different accents? Well, yeah, because I had a strong group of like African American girlfriends growing up, and when I was with them, I sounded like them. I learned the vernacular.
hmm
I just adapted because you wanted to fit in. Particularly, I'm talking about elementary and middle school,
yeah,
where you didn't want to be otherized, and there was no, mainstream culture of a Rihanna or a Nicki Minaj, or no one understood in where I was the multiculturalism. It might be different in other cities, of course. I'm thinking New York. I'm thinking, DC Metro,
hmm
Baltimore. metro area where there's a lot of multiculturalism as well
Right.
among Black people. But I
Hmm.
think it was something that enhanced me in a lot of ways, and being able to understand many different people from many different walks of life and
Yeah.
socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnic and cultural backgrounds. And it just, I feel like even now serves me very well. How do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I say, I call myself what quadlingual.
Yes.
Um, in that I'm able to, I call it my marketplace vernacular. I'm in corporate America. Been in corporate America what 29 years in corporate America. So I can move in those circles. When I'm around my Jamaican family, I have that. My African American friends, that. Um, and even in the African American diaspora, depending on where you are. If when I was living in New York, there was a certain there's a certain swag and vernacular. When I was in ATL, going to high school in Atlanta, I had learned and adapted there, and so I'm able to I can move fluidly. Some people call it code switching. Yeah, there's some code switching that has to be done. I call it with code switching within the corporate uh, culture, but for me, I'm able to adapt as far as this is just me. These are my people, and I'm myself. Among them. So we have our jokes and innuendos and all that kind of stuff, and they get it. They get me. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thankful for all of that.
My greens could be either collard greens or callaloo, depending on
Hallelujah. Yes.
depending on who I'm
Yes.
with. So when I
Yes.
hear greens, I'd be like, okay, which one you mean? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, well, I'll bring some
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I can do my dumpling or I can do my cornbread. It's either for
Yes.
me.
Johnny Cake.
So
Yes.
I love the way, we get to embrace a new culture, if you will, as an immigrant, but also, keep a little bit of the old country as well. So I think it's a
Yeah.
wonderful, like I said, blend of both worlds, or best of both worlds, if you will. So you come from Toronto to
Hmm.
New York, you said first?
Born in New York.
Oh, born in
Uh,
New York.
Born in New York to Toronto.
Then,
Toronto back to New York.
yeah.
Then New York to Atlanta, and
Okay.
then Atlanta back to New York.
Mm-hmm.
New York back to Atlanta, and now I'm in the Carolinas now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So take us to that time. You said you first met wifey.
Okay.
Everybody asking, she gonna come? They talking about the salt and pepper. They
Yeah.
taking you in, my brother. They take you
Okay.
in. So I want to know about the first time, because I didn't realize that you had
Yes.
met your wife when you guys were young, a short time, and then years later you saw her again.
So
So
actually, yeah. So I
they
met
say
my
get the
wife.
tissue ready, but
So here we
let's
go.
hear where it all began. Go ahead,
Yes,
please.
it actually began the summer of '87. Actually, that's when I moved down to Atlanta from New York. So that summer, well, we moved down. Um, uh, oh God, I was so New York at the time, so I hated the move of having to move from New York to Atlanta because that was actually my senior year of high school that my folks decided to make the move down to Atlanta. So that leaving that peer group and friend group and coming to Atlanta, I was very salty. But anyway, we moved down, and somehow my sister ended up meeting another family up the block that had just moved down from New York as well. So and they were another Jamaican family. So my sister became friends with the daughter of that family, and they hung out. And that same summer, um, my now wife's family came down, and they were staying at that family's house up the street. And I saw her at the time, and I was like, okay, she cute. I wasn't like head over heels, but she cute. And we had a
Hold on.
yeah.
So
Okay.
you're 15, 16 at this time? They
Yeah, I
told
was
me I
six,
better
I
check
was
the
16. She was
check the family
15.
tree before we go on
I
any
was
dates. But anyway, so you were 15, 16 at the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was 16. She was 15.
Okay, and you was checking her out.
I was
And it
checking her
was your
out.
sister friend.
My sister's friend. Yes.
Okay. So you saw the girl and what you thought first when you saw her? Love at first sight?
She was cute. She was a very cute girl. She was from Queens, where I was born. I was born in Queens, and she was from Queens,
Okay.
as well. Her family's from Jamaica as well.
Okay.
So yeah, she was cute. And, she was a cute girl. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah,
All right,
and
Ace. I
and
gotta
then
go
I
here.
had I had a little
Hold
swag.
on, hold on,
Okay,
links. Hold
all
on, hold
right,
on, hold
all
on,
right,
hold on, hold on. Let me get to
yeah,
some detail here because I know it was years ago. That
okay.
summer of '80 was seven.
87, summer
But
87.
I want to get to the nitty gritty. So you know how people always say that, or I've heard, men typically date like a certain type. Like all men have their preferences. So I can be wrong, men. Please
Okay.
correct me in the chat. I want to learn. So like yeah, like short, dark, tall, medium, brown skin, dark skin, light skin, curly hair, straight hair. Was she any of the things that you had typically liked in terms of her physicality?
I am tall. I'm 6'3", so
Mm-hmm.
I'm tall. I'm trying to think how tall I was. Probably about 6'1" at the time. Six feet, 6'1" at the time. So the girls that I particularly went for at the time, I was going through my. I'm just being honest. I was going out coming out of New York, coming from Canada to New York. I was on my Latin girl phase.
Mm.
So I was heavily into Latin girls. Part of the reason why is because of my mother. If you see my mother and the complexion of my mother's very, very fair skin.
Okay.
My mom could pass for Latin.
Latina. Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm,
she could
mm-hmm.
pass for Latina. So that's where I was doing that. My wife she's a brown skinned beauty, and so it wasn't that I was smitten, but she was a beautiful young lady. So it was
Mm.
like I'm trying to think. Oh God, there was a doggone female rapper from back in the day, and my
Foxy
wife.
Brown. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I got some stories. My wife is from East Elmhurst, Queens, so she grew up with Kid and Play
Oh
and the Salt
wow.
and Pepper Crew and all. She knows all of them, the Fubu guys and Kwame and all that stuff. Yeah, she knows all of them. But there was I can't even remember the name of this female rapper, but she was my wife was this. She looked like the spitting image of this female rapper. I can't even remember her. She was a beautiful young lady. She came down to Atlanta with her, the New York swag and the style we were rocking back in 80, 87, and whatever, the drop
She
socks
was
and
wearing knockers and some
had the, had,
Tims.
had the bamboo earrings. Yes, the bamboo earring. Yes. And did she have asymmetrical bob? I don't
I was
remember.
gonna say, did she have the salt and pepper hair?
No, no, no. It was like pulled up, and if I can remember the name of this rapper, Sweet Tea. The name of the rapper was Sweet Tea.
Oh,
Brown
okay.
skin, beauty. Yeah, so she looked like the spitting image of Sweet Tea to me. So yeah, I was.
So she
I,
took you all away from the Latin phase and was like, "Yo, the chocolate girl's got something to say." Yes.
I learned when I moved to Atlanta that I was like, yo, the Georgia Peaches were. Whoa, yeah. I was like, yo, this was
Different.
different. It was different. It was, yeah, yeah. God bless them. God bless the women in the ATL. Yeah, it was
So
it
you
was
was like,
different.
wait a minute, I went from, fair skin, curly-ish hair, that kind of look to like, whoa. Shout
Yeah,
out to the Georgia peaches going on over here.
melanin was popping.
Melanin was
Yeah,
popping. Okay. So you
yeah.
see her and do you make the first move? Is it that kind of thing or what happens then?
It was she came by the house, and I don't know how it was. I guess it was kind of mutual. She thought I was cute, and I thought she was cute, and we started talking and just hanging out. And this was only a week. This is now in the span of a week. She had come. The reason her purpose for coming down to Atlanta, she was checking out. Her family was checking out schools for her older brother at the time. He was in going to be a chiropractor, and there was a big school in Atlanta, Life Chiropractic, that he was checking out. So that's why they had come down, and they were only there for a week. So this is just the span of a week that we had to meet each other, hang out at the mall, go to the community pool, talk, and that was it. So we were kind of smitten little a week summer romance, just a single week summer romance type of a thing. And as fast as she was there, she was gone, you know. And so that happened, and then we lost contact with each other. I think I was telling my son the story the other day, and I think we wrote each other a letter. My son was laughing at me. He was like, "You wrote a letter," you know, because he's the new generation of email and text and whatever. So he was just laughing. You wrote, yeah, we wrote to each other like maybe once or twice, and then we lost contact. I did not see her again. I did not. Let me see. That was the summer of '87, and I think that was '87, and it was probably 1990, 1991 before I saw her again or met her again.
All right,
Um,
so let's catch up because some of the
yeah.
chat was like, okay, links. Did you initiate then?
Did I initiate the
When you first
reconnection?
met her that week of was it love
I
at
would say
first
yeah.
sight that week?
I would say yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it was a mutual. I would say it was a mutual. We were kids. We were
Mhm.
16.
Mhm.
I had no game. Didn't have any. I was a tall kid. I guess New York swag, style, whatever. So
You
yeah.
had on the
So that
do
was
rag. You had your do rag on.
nah. I was that was probably I was rocking. I'm trying to think what we were rocking back then. My haircut was similar, but I had the half moon part,
Oh,
in my head, and we were rocking using curl kits back then. So, um, yeah. So I was,
so you had a little
yeah,
texturizer. Okay,
yes, I had the texturizer. Yeah, yeah,
bring
yeah,
us back. I love it. So
yeah,
you go, so you had this summer thing, if you will. So
yes.
you guys hung out, lovely time. Were you smitten like love at first sight type of deal?
I would say I'm not gonna. I can't really say love at first sight. I said it was just
Attraction.
a week. It was
Mm,
just it was we were smitten with each other for that week,
okay.
and it was I'm 16, she was 15, and we saw each other for that week, and then after that I'm in my regular life now, and I'm seeing young ladies from Atlanta. All yeah,
Doing your thing. So no
yeah,
phone calls in between, no how you
no,
doing? So you guys
nope,
never kept contact. Okay.
no.
So fast forward, no. So we meet again when?
I moved back to Atlanta, the going through some stuff at the house, and I ended up moving back to New York in 90. I want to say, yeah, 1990. I went to live with my brother in New York in 90 in Long Island,
Hmm.
and that's where I started my career. Um, and I'm in banking, so I started my career in banking way back then. Um,
Hmm.
and um, I
So
was
when do you guys reconnect? So I want to know when y'all see each other again,
we
and how long
reconnected.
was it?
I would probably say it was maybe in '91 that I reconnected. It was the Christmas of '91. I was thinking about her, and I was on my big simp energy back then,
What do you
and
mean, big simp energy? Y'all
oh,
love
I
this
was
word
man, I was
simp. Y'all
big simp
love that
energy.
word
So
simp. What do you mean by that?
I
What do
was,
you mean?
oh man, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm thinking about her. She's here. I reached back to somebody in Atlanta because our families at that time had connected. So, everybody knew each other. I reached back, got her information, spoke to her mom, called and spoke to her mom, bought her a Christmas gift. I hadn't seen this girl in
Oh.
years.
What
Bought her,
led you? What moved you to do all this? You just been thinking about her, saw her on
I was
Facebook,
thinking
like
about it. I was just thinking about her.
she
I
just
was just
came back to memory.
just came back to memory. I said,
Mm.
just I was living in New York. I was enjoying myself.
In the
Man, I
street.
was yes, I was enjoying myself in New York, back in New York again. Yeah, that was a good '90s were a good time in New York. Um, and I just was thinking about her, and I went to go to her house, and that night I bought this gift. I don't remember what it was. I spent a nice piece of change on this gift. Went to her house that night, and she was living in East Elmhurst, Queens, and went there that evening, rang the doorbell, saw her mom. Mom saw me and was like, "Hey, Kevin," she was all happy to see me. And I went to see. She said, and she's not here. So I was like, okay. And I gave her the gift, and I left the gift with her. And I was like, okay, well, maybe next time. And as I'm walking back to the car, I guess she saw me. She saw me. She was sitting in the car, and she saw me and got out the car, and we talked for a minute and said, how you doing? And I'm sitting. My mind is going like, okay, maybe we'll rekindle something. That was my motive for going to see her, trying to rekindle something. And um, she broke my heart and told me that she couldn't talk. Her fiance was there in the car with her. Yeah,
What? What?
yeah,
What? Okay, hold on. So I'm about to
yeah,
catch up now. So you had this moment, y'all both in New York.
yep,
So this is after the summer thing, summer fling. You've been doing
yep.
your life. She's been doing your life. Something came to you just out of nowhere. Oh my God,
Out of
this girl,
nowhere.
I wonder where she is. Let me find out. Start doing my
Yep,
research. Find out she's in Queens. Oh my gosh, let me go over there with a nice big gift, spend some money, show
yep.
I care, invest, knock on the door, bing bong. And it's like she has a fiance.
She wasn't there. I'm walking back to the car. I'm walking on the sidewalk, and corner of my eye, I see her. She rolls down the window, and she got out the car. We talked for just like a hot second. She said, "I can't really talk right now. I'm here with my fiance." Oh, oh, oh,
Ouch.
oh,
Y'all drop some chats. Do you guys ever want to relate or can relate or are afraid to relate to something like this where all of a sudden you make that move, the rejection thing is a hard part of dating. I even had a cousin text me that she wants to go on a date, but she's already thinking about all the bad things that may happen. I'm like, guys, you just got to go. Don't invest so much. Just
yeah,
go. If you don't
yeah.
like him, if he's a blank boy, just it'll be done. Don't take it personal. But there's so many hit and misses for us. Sometimes we get, nervous. This was a huge, miss, if you will. So how did you feel? How
Oh,
did you feel when you saw?
I was that really because I said I was going there with intentions. I'm thinking now you got to think we hadn't seen each other in years, so my my connection with her was back when I was, 15, 16. I'm 16. So all those puppy love emotions and all that stuff is going in my head, and I'm remembering this, and I'm like, man, she was, she was a beautiful young lady. I'm looking to reconnect, and I'm having all these things. I'm thinking all this stuff. We gonna get into a relationship, we this, that, whatever. And she told me that, and I was heartbroken. I was honestly heartbroken, and that did a number on me. That really did a number on me. I was that sent me into a dog stage for some years. Um, I was just like I was hurt, and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I forget her. I ain't thinking about her no more. All right, peace out,
Let me jump
deuces.
in here. I just want
Yeah.
to acknowledge my super chatters. Thank you, Simon Hectic. I see you, London, in the building. Big up, man, from Brixton, from East London, West Side, all of that. Thank you for your support. And I saw Snuggles had a question. I don't know if it was for you or for the chat. Snuggles, big up yourself. Thanks for the super chat. Asking about kissing cousins. I think I was going slow through the chat. Did you kiss your cousin? And I don't think you kissed your cousin. You found out they were your cousin before you even went out on the
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no,
I didn't kiss my
no,
cousin either. It was a good dinner date, but
no, no. And she was a
but
beautiful
by the
young
end of
lady.
dinner, we knew it wasn't.
Yeah.
I
I
was
no,
like,
and she was that cousin that
sheesh.
I met. She's a beautiful. I got some my family. Two of my cousins have been Miss Jamaica Universe, so I've got
Oh,
some
so y'all got
legit
beautiful
people.
people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in
That's
my
a big deal.
family.
No,
So
I never kissed no cousin either.
no,
I don't think. Now, older people in my family, older people, because
yes,
remember, they did not travel. Everybody traveled by donkey, or like you would
yes,
say in America, by horse. So they married people from like
yep,
similar villages. So I'm
yep.
related to a couple people from both sides. I don't
Same
know. Y'all
thing.
ain't got no family where you related on both sides. Your mama's side is a cousin of so and so, and your father's side is the same cousin. So we
They,
do
yeah.
have a little bit of that. But you got
Yes.
to remember, when we were talking about it earlier, Links, our families ran to the hills. Like we're in the
Yes.
countryside of Jamaica. When the slaves
Mhm.
got free, they went up, 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 up in the mountains. Where I like the where my grandparents are or were, rest in peace, is like I could only compare it to maybe like the mountains of the Carolinas. How
Okay.
is like bush.
Yeah.
It is vegetation with house.
Yes.
Vegetation with house. Like they
Yep.
ran into the hills. So imagine that 100 years ago. 150 years ago. No
Yep.
one went anywhere to go look for a wife except like in the neighboring districts. So
Hmm.
we do have some
Hmm.
of that, but no one that we know of. And my family is still very close with my seconds and thirds and fourths. Like we've all
Hmm.
stayed in contact and we're all
Yeah.
still kind of very like I guess tribal for a lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we know who we know our one another as we say, so that we don't have this issue. But the first thing I do ask is like, what district are you from in Jamaica? Where are your peoples from? You have to ask because if not, you
Yeah.
could get in trouble. Anyway, so back to the conversation. So this is
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder how she came into your spirit. Do you attribute that to God at that time, even though you got the rejection at the moment? Did you attribute that to him,
I
or you just thought of her and you just feel like it was just something inside you?
you know what? I can't say it. It probably was God at the time. I was not. You know, the '90s in New York. I was nowhere. I was even think God was nowhere on my radar. I was living it up. I was having a good time in New York. Good, good time. New York was good. That was
So you wasn't in the church and you wasn't in all of
nah,
that at that time. You
nah,
wasn't like God is
nah,
my homeboy at that time. I get it. I
nah.
get it. All right. So this was
I
you
was
just thinking about somebody you had known, had a nice,
yeah,
summer thing with, and
yeah,
wanted it back. All right. So after
yeah,
the big rejection or the
yes.
surprise of your life, where
Hmm.
you go to a girl's house bringing gifts, ready to rekindle what
Yep.
was in the '87, to bring back that good thing, that old thing, and
Hmm.
she has a fiance. So where
Yes.
do you guys go from there? You walk away despondent, and then what happens? You just like
And
forget this chick.
after that, I left it alone. I literally I put her out of my mind. She was no longer in my mind. And then I was there in New York for probably um, let me see. I was there probably for another year, and then I moved back to Atlanta. So I'm back, moved back to Atlanta, and I'm living my life back in Atlanta. That was I said the '90s were a good time, and
Back to ATL as a single man,
as a single man,
continuing your career,
yeah.
and then when do you get that third bite at the apple?
So now I moved back to Atlanta, and her uncle had stopped by the house. And he came by the house, and he was, like, "Hey, guess what? Like, what's going on, Uncle Robbie? What's going on?" And he's like, guess who's moved to Atlanta?" I'm like, "Who?" And he said, "My wife. My wife's family had moved down to Atlanta." And I don't know why all of that stuff, like, nah, you nixed her out. I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe let's try this again." And at this time now, I said I'm in a different phase of my life now, so I'm semi dog at the time. So I'm like, "Yo, all right, let's see if I can bag her. Let's try and bag her." And got the number, and I called her.
Hold up.
And
What that mean? What that mean? So I could bag her.
uh, yeah,
I
I
know
was
I'm listening. Like my listeners gonna say, what that mean though? So you like, oh,
look,
you
as I
left
said,
it?
I
Were
was
you trying to exact revenge on old girl? That's what I want to know.
not gonna say exact revenge, but I was in the mindset of, yo, I was just in a casual mindset. So I was not even thinking about quote unquote relationship,
So
but
you're
I'm gonna
not
see
looking
if
for a
I
wife, none of that.
yeah, I was gonna see if I can get with her. And
Okay.
I
Just want to
reached
clarify.
out,
So
got the
reached out.
number,
Okay.
I reached out and called her. And interesting enough, that's when God started to do some things. Again, I was living it. I was back. I was 22. and came back to living with my folks in Atlanta. That was not a good thing.
Okay, listen, they have a question. Excuse me for
All right.
interrupting. It says, Ace Butterfly says, when Links rekindled, was this after college? So the New York time was like in your early 20s or late teens,
Yes.
and then this was
Yes.
now as a grown up in your early 20s again in Atlanta.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the time reference.
Yes.
Okay, keep yeah,
Yes.
keep doing
Um.
it. So
So
was she open to meeting up with you? Was she
we never
excited? Like, oh yeah.
no, because we didn't meet. But when we talked, I talked to her on the phone at that time, and what happened with her. And I didn't mention that she got into the church real. She became born again probably when she was 17. So she was in the church heavy at the time, and I didn't, again, I didn't know this. My mindset wasn't nowhere near that. So when I called her this go round, I'm talking with her, and I'm just talking, trying to spit game, and the conversation ended up circling around to God, and um, that's where the conversation, instead of looking for trying to kindle a relationship or try to do something, that's what ended up happening. The conversation ended up being around God, and she is the one. I was going through a whole lot of stuff with my family, particularly my father. Okay, go ahead.
Wow, okay. So they this is so petty. Who asked this question? Talk about, did you keep the gift or did you keep the gift?
No, I look, I gave the gift, I bought the gift, I gave the gift, I left the gift. So
Oh, you gave her the gift?
yes,
Oh, so she would have
yes,
remembered that. Ooh.
I was making good money back then. Yeah,
Ah, so
I,
you weren't sweating it. You
I
was like, you
wasn't
know what?
sweating it. No, I was
Hold this.
making.
So they're saying,
Yes,
I call it rejection. There was a lot of oh my gosh, heartbreaks, emojis. I see y'all. Some people are saying no, it wasn't rejection, it was circumstantial. They asked, why didn't the mom say, dang, she had a fiance? Mama, you could have told me that before I turn back around. All of that. Like, why wouldn't you just say it?
I
But
don't know.
maybe her mama liked you. You know,
She
parents do that
did.
sometimes.
She did.
They be
Ma,
saving
Ma
you.
Dukes,
They save the
Ma
one.
Dukes like me. Yes, Ma.
They
So
save. They
yeah,
look out for the one. They like, yeah, but
yes,
me not like the one when she have. So come back later.
yes. And I like him. And I like him. My spirit. And I text
They
you.
give the. Why do
Yes,
parents do that? They be
yes.
looking out. You be done with them, but they be looking out. They be like, come back later. Come back.
Yep.
so,
Yep.
so you. Wow. So you thinking hookup? Let me just make it
Yes.
plain. And she's talking about Jesus.
That's yes.
And you got hit
Yeah.
in the face with a different woman. Different. She was in a different phase of her life.
Yep.
So how
Yeah.
did that make you feel? Less attracted, more attracted to her? Some of y'all keep talking about we follow the God thing too
Yeah.
strong, and it makes you, I don't know. Were you attracted to it? Was it throwing you off? Were you still vibing her at that point?
What was very attractive to me, it moved from a physical attraction, the attraction because of her conversation. I was going through a dark period in my life. I was going through a real dark period in my life with my father. And when I had conversations with her, there was a joy that was in her voice. I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't put my finger on it. Again, I didn't have any language for it. I just knew it. I felt it. Um, and that was very appealing. It was very attractive. Um, I mean, it was light. Light is attractive. Light attracts. And there was a light in her. There was a light in her voice. And again, keep them. We hadn't. I when I called her, I still had not seen her since that lad when I got rejected by her. I had not seen her. This was a phone conversation. I had not seen her, and it was conversations. I forget how long we had conversations, but those conversations ended up leading me to give my heart back to the Lord. On my bed, December 23rd, 1993, is I lay in my bed and I was going through the stuff with my father, and I gave my heart back to the Lord, and that is what began the the supernatural experiences and the stuff that I'm mentioning to
Hold
you.
up,
That
hold up,
those,
hold up, hold up. We gotta
yes,
get there. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna do a quick reset. I'm loving the chat.
yes,
I'm having a fun time just reading what everybody's questions are. I want to welcome those who are late joiners. I see the numbers creeping up. I see more people in the conversation. This is a good time to be jumping in. Don't worry, y'all can go back and watch from the beginning. I'm here with the one and only Links, who had a beautiful story to share. Wanted him to share it. Y'all, welcome to the Suzette Speaks show. I was going to put the chat to subscribers only, so you know what that means. Hit that subscribe button. Y'all come in lurking, as the British boys would say. But we want to make sure you become a part of the community. So hit the notification bell, like, and subscribe, and hit notifications. Y'all know I got some good shows coming up. Super chat is active. Hello, thanks to you guys. We over 3,000 now, and you guys know I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys for the Cash App support. Actually, let me check and see if anybody has sent any. But thank you so much. You guys know it's all love. So Links is in the middle of his story. I don't know, probably first third of his story, talking about his wife. And I'm just interested in that. This is like third time's a charm type thing. Because I think sometimes when people feel that type of like, that ain't working out, we say it's God. You understand?
yeah,
When you feel like the ouch, you're like, okay, that's God. I'm not for that woman, or I'm not for that man. But it's something interesting about you still going after her in a way. I don't know what it was,
I
but it's
can't.
like,
Yeah,
most men, I don't know, or women, rejection is not a fun thing. So we would typically be like, hey, that's a sign from God. But it was different from you. And I'm seeing how, obviously she played such a pivotal role in your life, especially at a hard moment,
yeah.
and was able to, with her faith foundation, hold you up and help you become or get to the other side. So all of that to say, was her heart open to you that third time?
No,
Beyond the faith, like I'm
she
talking
was
about
still
as a romance.
engaged.
So she was just there trying to save your soul. She was not
That's
there
it.
trying to hook up. She wasn't in your face like
No,
googly goo, googly eye,
no,
come by Friday
no,
night time. None of
no,
that.
no.
Oh, okay.
She was
Okay.
still engaged to be married, and yes,
Hold up. I missed that. So she
she was still
what?
engaged to be married.
All
So
this
her,
time while she was praying for you and pouring into you and trying to help you get
yes,
saved.
yes, she was still engaged to be married. So it was just, I said what my motives were not her motives in the conversation. It was just, she had, I guess, from her side, oh, this is somebody that I knew in Atlanta. We knew each other, and hey, we'll be friends, type of a thing. But my motives were something different. And I said what she ended up being in my life at the time, in that darkness, she was joy and she was peace in my life at the time.
Wow. Okay, we're
And
gonna
I
step on some
needed
toes.
that.
Hold on. This is beautiful, but we got to step on some toes at the same time.
Okay.
Got people that said, "Where her man did they? Where was her man at this time? I'll she a pray for you,
Yeah.
give you encouragement and all of that. Where was her fiance?
Her
Why
fiance was
was you in
still
her face or what?" That's
no.
we got to talk about it because it feel like some type of way.
Yes.
I'm bad. I'm happy that she lifted you up, but she was betrothed to another
Yes.
person. So it
Yes.
kind of feel a little, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So